let's focus back on the epical, momentous event that is actually going to greet us in the next 2 days. Thanks indeed, Pranesh. Let's move on into India Upfront and into this big story. Viewers, for the past few days, you have been hearing a lot about the Sengol. This is because it has been salvaged from relative obscurity by the Modi government that will place it in the Lok Sabha or the People's Chamber of the new Parliament alongside the Speaker's podium. The announcement about the Sengol's long overdue rehabilitation was immediately met with predictable disapproval. Veritable congeries of the Indian left are linking the placement of the Sengol to what they call an ongoing BJP project to advance a Hindu India. So they're saying that the Sengol is being brought to Parliament. It is going to be placed close to the Speaker's podium because the BJP wants to flex its Hindutva muscle and turn India from a secular state into a Hindu Rashtra. A sizable section of their patrons in the opposition have even announced a strategic boycott of the function being organized to inaugurate the new Parliament complex. The NDA showcasing of the Sengol has only given the opposition an additional unsubstantiated pretext to justify its boycott. Now, viewers, we all know what the Sengol is. The Sengol really is part of a ritualistic ceremony that was conducted during the Cholan times, when the Rajguru handed over this sacred sceptre to the newly coronated king as, viewers, an important instrument that would remind him that he needed to be guided by dharma when he was ruling his kingdom, and therefore should act righteously. This artifact of the Cholan era, viewers, was then, in some senses of the word, resurrected in 1947. The last Viceroy of India, Lord Mountbatten, asked the incoming dispensation of Jawaharlal Nehru how they would like to mark the transfer of power from British India to the Nehru dispensation. It was at that time that C. Rajagopalachari or Rajaji came up with the idea of marking that particular moment, the transfer of power, by using the rich symbolism of the Chola era. And they said that the scepter that was used can be recreated, and that scepter could be handed over by the adhenums of one of India's oldest mutts to Jawaharlal Nehru in Parliament, and this is exactly what happened. So the scepter, viewers, captures a epical moment, perhaps the biggest, the greatest moment in India's history. And viewers, to think that there are elements in our polity, and you know some of them, we have even got their reactions, that the elements in our polity are linking this decision by the Modi government to basically rehabilitate the Sengol to Hindutva and the Hinduization of our polity, viewers, is really stretching matters too far. The center, of course, is unmoved. The sacred scepter, it says, is the principal manifestation of a tribute to Bharat's civilizational heritage in this time of Amrit Kal. But despite the historic role it played in arguably the most significant chapter of India's modern history, the Sengol was, in a manner of speaking, scrubbed out of the national imagination. Yes, it was preserved, no doubt, but in a reliquary of sorts, viewers. For 75 years prior to now, it has gathered dust in an unloved museum in Uttar Pradesh, where it was described as, you won't believe this, Nehru's walking stick. So the symbol of India's pride, the symbol of India's civilizational history, the symbol of one of the most epical moments in our history, which was the transfer of power, which was the assumption of Swaraj, was described as Nehru's walking stick. Believe it or not, viewers. This is the contempt that an ecosystem had for this priceless, precious instrument, viewers. Now, to a number of people, this is a travesty. Listen in.
It was 5 feet long, plated in gold and crowned with a Nandi. And of course, please don't forget the Nandi itself has tremendous significance because the 4 legs of Nandi symbolize Satya or truth, Dharma or righteousness, Shanti or peace, and Prem or love. And of course, the Sengol was first handed over to Mountbatten, then taken back, sprinkled with Ganga Jal, almost you could say a symbolic washing away of the sins of British rule, and then taken in a procession to Nehru and handed over to him 15 minutes before midnight. Nehru would be accepting transfer of power not from the British viceroy, but from a Tamil seer, a Hindu one at that. So installation of the sceptre in that sense symbolizes a connection with Bharat's spiritual tradition.
Why it wasn't made public? Why this symbolism, which is an agreed protocol arrangement between the outgoing government and the incoming government, was kept out of public knowledge? These are all things for them to explain. Nehru need not explain, because he underwent this ritual. It is those who succeeded after Nehru who have to explain why they kept it.
Now, viewers, the Sengol is finally being restored to its glory, but the BJP has trained guns at the ecosystem and its patrons, who it blames for insulting India's pride. Listen into this roundup of reactions.
Never ever power transfers are just done by just a handshake. There are many more things which go to bring sanctity to the event. And this was one such a sanctifying event, and therefore it has its place in history, which unfortunately was not, none of us were aware of it. But because the data, the research and everything is now completely come out, it's finding its right place.
DMK तमिल मानसिकता का प्रतिनिधि नहीं है। वो तमिल फ्राइड ऐसा सोच करके डीएमके उसमें पार्टिसिपेट करना है तो अच्छा होता है, नहीं है तो वो तमिल मानसिकता के बहुत दूर से है।
Many of us didn't know about this momentous, important, significant occurrence in the transfer of power with the sacred scepter, which is the Sengol. So, first, as an Indian, I would like to thank our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. I want to express my heartfelt thanks, because only a person who's has a very profound understanding of Indian civilizational heritage and Indian culture and has a deep, immense respect for our values and parampara can ensure that such an important event is brought back from oblivion into light and also given its due place in history.
Well, viewers, some in the opposition might suggest that the strict separation of state from religion requires that the Sengol shouldn't be placed in a secular arena like Parliament. But the fact is, viewers, and that's the fundamental question, the Sengol's virtual exile from the mainstream was very much in line with elaborate steps that were taken in the decades after independence by leftist custodians of India's history to purge India, or Bharat, of its Bhartiyata, of its Hindu civilizational past. All this supposedly in the name of advancing secularism. Of course, we know how that turned out, viewers, but let's very quickly, let's open this up for debate. let's ask some fundamental questions. K. Annamalai, State President of Tamil Nadu of the Bharatiya Janata Party, is with us. Now, Mr. Annamalai, I have been watching a video of yours from a significant moment in the past, and quite the distant past, where you were talking about the significance of the Sengol, and you went at great lengths to explain why the Sengol symbolism should not be confused with religiosity, that it is a celebration of all that is great about India's civilizational heritage. Therefore, I'm asking you, however, Mr. Annamalai, why you believe this? The opposition, many elements in the opposition, many elements in the left Latvians ecosystem believe that this is yet another attempt to try and bring through the back door a kind of Hindutva repositioning of India, number one. And number two, viewers, and Mr. Annamalai, very important, there is also a claim that this is a masterstroke at trying to sort of shame the Congress into remembering its past so that it comes to Parliament rather than boycotts it. So that's the one angle. The second question that I want to ask you in this is fundamental. Was there an attempt being made to purge India of its civilizational past by relegating this to a dusty museum in Uttar Pradesh where it was labeled as a walking stick, as Nehru's walking stick? Two basic questions.
Thank you, sir, for the very elaborate introduction you gave about Sengol. And Sengol is no more a Tamil word now. It has traveled far across the country now and across the world now. Sir, along with your elaborate introduction, I will add a few points to it. Not only was the Sengol given on August 14, 1947 to Lord Mountbatten and later to Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru ji, along with it, the very sacred Devaram, 11 stanza was also sung. Why it was sung is very important, because along with the Sengol, both are very important if we go back to our civilization. The stanza that was sung is called the Kolaru Padigam. Kolaru Padigam was sung because olden times when a king used to take over reign from a previous king, they used to look at the planet, the current alignment of the planets. Kol in Tamil means planet. Kolaru Padigam talks about when this particular stanza is sung in Devaram, which was compiled in 10th and 11th century, especially during the Cholas time, even the mal effects of planets will be taken care. That is a belief. If a king in his correct mind with righteousness takes the Sengol to govern, for him good time and bad time doesn't matter. The mere fact a king is inclined to govern the people well, religiously, assiduously means for him the planetary effect will become nullified. That's how the Kolaru Padigam came. So August 14, when the Sengol was handed over, especially the Oduars who went all the way to Delhi from the Adinam, from Tamil Nadu, 11th stanza was sung, then the Sengol was given. Now anybody who believes Sengol is not a part of Tamil Nadu now, Tamil culture now, I would welcome them to visit all our municipalities and corporations. If they come with me tomorrow to the Chennai Corporation, the mayor keeps a Sengol in her hand. It is an intrinsic part of Tamil culture. The mayor could have come from any political party. The currently mayor is from the Dravida Munnetra Kalagam, which believes there is no God, which believes we are living in a land where God do not exist. Even that particular mayor, when she sits in her particular chair, when she takes over, the Sengol is given to her. This not only means the transfer of power, this also means that you are duty bound, more than the oath we have taken, which is a mere written word. More than that, you are duty bound to govern with a sense of righteousness. That is the meaning of Sengol per se, sir. And now I see a lot of our friends, they don't understand the context, the full meaning. And for the sake of politics, they do it. And coming to the first part of your question, in Tamil, the word aram, which Sengol inclines, that when you take a Sengol, you do not only righteousness duty, but also you govern as per aram. So I really don't find a proper English word which can justify the word aram. Aram is much beyond righteousness also. Maybe dharma, it is much above dharma also. And you son yourself to uphold aram. That is why we say aram sayya virumbu. That is also a part of our attitude. If anybody believes this is Hinduism, this has come from a particular set, they are sadly mistaken. This is there during the Chola time. It is there, part of our culture. We would like to specially thank our Honorable PM, because I would like to give a background of this also. The Adinams of Tamil Nadu, very rightfully they believe, the Sengol which was handed over in 1947 is not given its due respect. Many a times the Adinams have complained to us at different points of time in the last 2 to 3 years that Sengol which was given specially from the particular Adinam from Mailadurai, nobody could find where it is. Even the transfer of power among the Adinams have happened. So they have written letters, they have questioned. Whenever we meet the Adinams, they have told us, where is that Sengol? Now finally on 28th of this month, when the new parliament is opening, Sengol is finding its rightful place. Now anybody equating this to a particular religion, they are sadly mistaken. Because the concept of Sanatana Dharma is eternal. Now all religions, when they say India is a secular state, I would like them to look into the mirror and again look at the definition of secular. Secular doesn't mean religion in 7th century or 9th century which came. You put a costume to yourself and say, no, I am secular, I'm away from anybody. Sengol perfectly is secular. It doesn't mean it belongs to a particular religion. Because Sanatana Dharma, it is much above any religion that we talk about, sir.
So then why was it cast aside and described as Nehru's walking stick? How did that happen? If it was such replete with symbolism, if the moment when it was handed to Jawaharlal Nehru was immersed in such an epical context, how did it land up being called golden walking stick gifted to Nehru? I mean, how does one make sense of that?
I can only speculate like you, sir, speculate like most of the panelists here. If somebody has really understood the civilizational heritage, somebody has really understood the concept of Sengol, Tirukkural, which is very, very old, which is a very sacred book to all of us, which does not belong to any religion. There is one particular chapter called Sengonmai with 10 Kural, which again talks about Sengol, which predates even the Chola dynasty, if you are looking at it. There they talk about Sengol, the Sengonmai, how a king should rule. When we go to Tirukkural's period, there is no question of whatever religions are there now. During the period of Tirukkural, there was not even a single religion then. Then why did Tiruvalluvar wrote about Sengonmai? Why did Tiruvalluvar wrote 10 Kurals to it? I can speculate that maybe the great Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru ji, he didn't fully understand what it is. Rajaji made efforts to bring it. The Adinams came, the transfer of power happened. Maybe he didn't fully understand the imprint of it. That is where we would really salute our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He understands it. The ethos of it, the civilizational ethos of it, the pride of place, it is going right next to our speaker in the people's house. So I would only quote Tirukkural, which was there in existence. Sengonmai was there.
Well,
10 Kurals, which was there even before any religion was in existence. Then what are my friends talking about secular and asecular with respect to Sengol, sir?
well, Mr. Annamalai, thank you very much. But I have to say, you're being very generous to Nehruji despite being a BJP man. Because let me tell you, Mr. Nehru suddenly developed some sort of a allergy to all things that denotified India's Hindu ethos. He even, if you remember, prevented India's first president from consecrating the Somnath temple. It was only after, of course, that the president, India's first president, put his foot down that you had a situation where he went out there and he actually consecrated a symbol, one of the holiest symbols of Hindus' viewers, which was desecrated by settler colonialism, and that too of the Islamic variety. So I'll leave it at that, Mr. Annamalai. You're being charitable, but perhaps it all feeds into the larger Marxist machination, which is to deny India's civilizational Hindu past and all the historians that took a cue from it. So thank you very much, Mr. Annamalai. It was very good speaking with you. Let's open this up. I want to bring in Dr. Ranganathan. We can't escape Dr. Ranganathan tonight. by asking some direct questions, and we must ask this question. How does this symbol of everything that is virtuous about India's Hindu civilizational past end up gathering dust? And I'm not being facetious here. We know the state of most of our museums. They're not exactly the repositories of, our history. They're reliquaries where some of our artifacts actually turn into relics, really, because of mismanagement and the other like. So I'm just saying, how does it end up there? And then contemptuously branded a walking stick. I mean, can you believe it?
Yes, Rahul, there are 4 or 4 points I'd like to make. First of all, good evening to you and my fellow panelists. Number 1, it is a matter of great pride as an Indian and as a Tamilian that the Sengol is going to be installed in our new parliament. Sengol is a symbol of power and, as Anna said, and justice and Raj Dharma, and the hope that any transition would be as imbibed in the great virtues of our ancient civilization as the previous one. That this ancient civilization is a Hindu civilization should not be seen as a matter of shame or regret, but instead as a matter of pride. I'm sorry, but our overarching philosophy is the Indian philosophy, which is the Hindu philosophy. And Hindu philosophy is not religious philosophy. Why do people have objection to this is beyond me. Number 2, and as for it not being a symbol of democracy but of royalty, well, that is a preposterous argument, because can I ask you what adorns our tricolour in the middle? The chakra of King Ashoka. Number 3, and as for it not being secular enough, that again is preposterous, because can I ask you what drawing adorns the pages of Constitution of India? It is Rama and Lakshmana and Indra and Rama, Lakshmana, Sita returning to Ayodhya. What adorns our Supreme Court's motto? It's Yato Dharmastato Jaya. Where there is dharma, there is victory. A statement uttered by Gandhari to her son Duryodhana in the Hindu scripture Mahabharata. So are you now going to dispense with our flag, burn our constitution, bulldoze our Supreme Court? Rahul, let's get to the bottom of it. These are all Hindu-phobic arguments. And the irony is that we are not a secular nation to begin with, because the state controls Hindu temples and leeches billions of them shamelessly, pays salaries of Maulvis and priests, organizes free pilgrimages, Hajj subsidies. Number 4, being a Darwinian atheist, I have no skin in the game. But this much I know. Hinduism has survived 8 millennia because it imbibes the scientific virtues of diversity, empathy, independent thought, and reform. In Hinduism, religion is an offshoot of the way of life. While in Abrahamic ideologies, way of life is an offshoot of religion. It follows that the former is less shackled by rigidity or by rules and diktats and is more mutatable, celebrating diversity of its followers. As always, the source, the fountainhead dictates the mutability and eagerness to change. In Hinduism, there are sects that promote and celebrate atheism, Charvaks. There are sects that reject Vedas altogether, Lingayats. How gloriously ironical is that? Rejecting your holy scriptures and yet being proud Hindus. Can this happen in any other religion? Hinduism is an all-accepting, all-questioning idea, and therefore, Rahul, just 20 seconds. It is entirely appropriate that such a symbol, imbibing all qualities of the ancient Hindu civilization should be installed in our new Parliament House. My only fear is that even this government is acting only symbolically, because even under it, Hindus remain 8th-class citizens in their own country, constitutionally, legally, and through acts of parliament.
Well, Dr. Ranganathan, I know you feel passionately about this, but actually the Hindu tradition isn't even an ism. Let's be actually quite clear about that. This is not an ism. The Hindu view, and let me emphasize this, not a Hindu way, but the Hindu view is all-encompassing. And there have been people in this country, viewers, Marxist historians, who even tried to deny the existence of the Hindu tradition. Can you believe that? These are well documented. One of them even won a Nobel Prize. It's frightening. It's frightening. So I completely agree with Dr. Ranganathan that this is not by coincidence. And therefore, let me bring in the Congress. Mr. Sabharwal, are you saying that the Sengol's relegation to a dusty, unloved museum is without motive? It was by some coincidence. And if that is the case, sir, it shows the contempt that the Congress regimes had for our civilizational past. How can you therefore guarantee our future?
Rahul ji, when the country got independence, I think Mahatma Gandhi ji was alive, Sardar Patel ji was alive, Nehru ji was alive. We were not alive. We were not in the earth at that time. Our parents have not given the birth to me and me, to you and to me. How we can debate the people who took the decision at that time? What were the circumstances? Why they have done it? What were the reasons behind that? Are you mean that they went to jails? They went and struggled so much against Britishers? You are today putting a question on their integrity? Shame on you people. Shame on BJP. Shame on the people who are on the debate. Might be there will be some reason. Because of that, some ignorance would have been done. We are not against all this.
Okay.
So Nehruji has not taken Singol with him in the heaven. It's lying in the nation today. It's lying in the museum. So I feel that we should not blame Nehruji for this. We should not blame Congress for this. We should see that what were the circumstances. Now if you want to rectify, you rectify it. But don't blame us. We have struggled so much against Britishers. Our leaders have struggled so much.
Okay.
Sabharwal Sahab, all of you people that you are working for them, you are favoring Britishers today.
No, by actually not showing up. No, 1 second, Mr. Sabharwal. By not showing up in Parliament when the Sengol is going to be restored to its glory, you are actually favoring the Britishers, not us. But let me also tell you this, Mr. Sabharwal.
We are not
I love the fact that you are impassioned, and I like people who are passionate about their belief system. So I must salute you for that. But you have some cheek, sir, by suggesting that a party that denied the existence of the Ram Setu, that passed a bill. Now let me finish, sir. I never spoke over you. That passed a bill in Parliament denying the overwhelming majority of Hindus a right to go and reclaim their places of worship. A party whose members stood in court to deny them the Ram Janam Bhoomi. A party, sir, that was so prejudiced against the Hindus that it intervened selectively in reform. Are you saying that it would not have had a motive? And forget about something being sent, viewers. It is like the Kala Pani of all museums.
We all will go to Haridwar together.
1 second, Sabharwal Sahab. 1 second. It's not even viewers. The act of sending or banishing something to the Kala Pani of museums, it didn't even land up, sir, in the National Museum of this country. It lands up in a dusty museum, sir, where it was kept, where it was mislabeled as the walking stick of Nehru. I mean, come on. If you want to strip something of any status, any consequence, this is the example. There it is, golden walking stick gifted to Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan, yeah, you want to come in? Yes.
Yes, I just want to come in because I have great respect for Mr. Sabharwal. Romeshji, please. I didn't interrupt you. Romeshji, I didn't interrupt you. Thank you very much. Romeshji, I didn't interrupt you. I really value your views. Please, give me a minute. Rahul, I deal with only facts. Over and above what I said, let me add 3 points to it. It was under Nehru that these 3 points occurred. Number one, the fact of the matter is that Nehru did not want our then President Rajendra Prasad to go and inaugurate the famous restructured and refurbished Somnath temple.
Yeah.
That happened after centuries. I think it was a disgrace, and it was good that Rajendra Prasad actually overrode Nehru and went to inaugurate it. Number two, it was under Nehru that Congress nearly overturned the Supreme Court judgment to took control of Hindu temples in 1959. And number three, I don't know what relationship Nehru had with the Mountbattens, that he required a walking stick. Let me not go into there. But how the hell does the sacred symbol Sengol end up? I notice a smirk there, Rahul, but how the hell hell does a sacred symbol of Sengol end up as a walking stick? It's a disgrace.
Yeah, it is. And it's a disgrace. And you know, you are talking about that period in history when President Rajendra Prasad put his foot down, but the hard work behind the scenes was done by K.M. Munshi.
Yes.
Viewers, they were appalled. They were appalled. I mean, viewers, this is not by coincidence. This is by design. And let me put my neck out there on the chopping block. Dr. Raman, are we going to suggest, and I want the BJP to also come in on this, but after you perhaps talk a little bit about this, Dr. Raman, a walking stick? The Sengol becomes a walking stick under Congress regimes?
Yeah. Rahul, if you give me 1 minute, Mr. Sabharwal, please. If you will give me 1 minute.
To the Britishers.
Sir, can I speak? Yeah. Rahul, I hope I'll have 1 minute uninterrupted. The first point is this particular stick which is being installed is not from the Chola period. Let's be very clear. This is a stick made by Ummadi Bangaru jewelers who are still in existence today. And it was made at the time of independence. So let's be very clear. This whole thing of this, you know, this historic stick dating back to the Chola period, we have to make it clear that it was made by a Chennai jeweler around the time of independence. So this is not, this is not historic in the sense that it does not go back centuries. The first point. Second point is, as already been mentioned, the Chola kings were Shaivites. Now, very clearly, they are worshippers of Lord Shiva. And in fact, on the Sengol, you will see that the mascot of Shiva, the Nandi or the bull, is on the Sengol. Now, you want to go ahead and say, yes, it is a symbol, it is a Hindu symbol, and we will place it in parliament. And that's too bad, you can do nothing about it, that's fine. But don't try to cast this whole thing saying that, you know, this is secular, this is a tradition of kings and so on. Let's not deceive ourselves. Dr. Ranganathan says it's a Hindu symbol, there's nothing wrong with it. At least to that extent, he's being honest about it, saying that we will put a Hindu symbol, do what you can do nothing about it because we are now in a majority is the approach.
Sir, there is a Hindu symbol. Should I talk about Hindu symbol? No, hang on. Is every building in this country communal of some significance? Let me, no, hang on. Let's today go through. No, 1 second. Dr. Raman, please.
Let's not. No, 1 second. Let me finish.
Yeah, okay, finish, sir.
Yeah.
Finish.
The third, so the point about this Sengol is that it clearly belongs not only to Hinduism generally, but to a specific sect of Hinduism where the Cholas were predominantly Shaivite kings. Though they were large-hearted to a large extent in the sense that they did not discriminate.
Right.
They were predominantly Shaivite kings.
Okay. So let me tell you.
My name was taken.
Dr. Raman.
Yeah, 1 second, sir. Let me finish. The Mr. Annamalai mentioned about the Kolar Padigam, which is recited at the time that.
So let's stick to this point. Let's stick to the Sengol first. Let's go point by point. 1 second. Let's not spread this thin. 1 second. 1 second, sir. 1 second, please. Viewers, let me tell you. The objection that Dr. Raman is raising is that, oh, this is associated with a particular sect and we should at least Yes, sir. Dr. Ranganathan is being honest about that, this, that, the other, and therefore this is some sort of a communal exercise. Now, let me tell you, 1 second, Dr. Ranganathan, I just want to bring some facts onto the table. Just give me 30 seconds. Viewers, the current speaker's chair. Now, Dr. Raman, listen, please, you might learn something. There is already a great amount of Hindu symbolism in Parliament. The current speaker's chair bears the inscription Dharma Chakra Paravartanaya. What does that mean? We should respond according to Dharma. The origins are Jain, Buddhist and Hindu philosophy. The Supreme Court, Yato Dharmastati Jaya, where there's Dharma, there's victory, is inscribed on it. Hindu epic, the Mahabharata. Yes, it's a Hindu epic because we are a Hindu civilization to begin with.
Does Dr. Sumant Raman want the pages of fundamental rights to be torn away from our constitution because it shows Rama, Lakshmana and Sita returning to Ayodhya?
I'll show it to you.
What is more Hindu than that?
I'll show it to you, viewers. I have the photographs because I knew this would come up. And here you can see the part 12. The part 12 also of our constitution
There we go.
has the Natraj, the dancing Shiva.
Tear the constitution.
Then you have part 4 of the constitution.
Absolutely.
Viewers, again,
My point.
again, there you have it. Again, replete with
Don't
Hindu
give
symbolism,
facts.
straight
Now,
out
don't
of
give facts.
another one of our most famous epics. No, wait. Let's get into this, sir. You think that we are all ill-informed here. Part 2,
You cut my
the part
number,
2
I can't
of our constitution, citizenship, viewers. Here is a scene depicting Lord Ram in exile. In the jungles. One second. Here then you have part 3. Again. Here again. Shri Krishna propounding the infinite ocean of wisdom, the Bhagavad Gita to a Kim Kartavyavi Mudha Arjuna before the commencement of the battle of Mahabharata at Kurukshetra. Let's tear out all of this, the directive principles, as Dr. Ranganathan was saying, and others. Let's rip them out of our constitution. Anyhow, let me bring back Dr. Guru Prakash Paswan, and let me ask you a question, Guru Prakash Paswan. Look, there can be 2 reasons for bringing the symbol back. Number 1, of course, you want to restore India to its former glory. The other point, of course, being that you actually want to make a statement. As Mr. Sabarwal is saying, how do you respond to those cynics who say that you are pushing? Yes, 1 second, doctor, we lost you there. Just bringing in the BJP. Okay, what are you saying, doctor? Finish.
Yeah. The point that I was making is, I have no issues with this being put forward in Parliament as a Hindu symbol. There's no, as you have pointed out, there are so many other Hindu symbols. But this kind of saying, no, actually it is secular, is something that I don't agree with. The second point is very important, again, that this has been passed from king to
Okay, but
king.
you made that
It is
point.
Actually,
You made that point now.
King to king.
Okay,
king
Dr.
to
Raman,
king
please
is-
let somebody
but
else also
the
have a
last I
moment
checked-
on this panel.
I went and checked. It's the constitution did not say we were a monarchy. I
Oh,
don't know.
for God's
I
sakes,
just
it
checked
is symbolism, sir.
It says we are a
It is
democracy.
symbolism. Do you not understand the word symbolism?
No, I don't, because it was handed over from
Oh
one
my God.
monarch to the next
The act
monarch.
of taking an oath, viewers, is symbolic.
In the UK,
You could be actually
today,
taking an oath on any book.
the Prime Minister will
Oh
not
my
be
God.
doing
No,
things
hang
that
on,
the monarch
please.
does.
Now let me tell you, this Dr. Raman described this as a stick of no historic
No, I did
consequence. Can you believe it,
This-
viewers? Let me finish.
This was made in 1947.
Yes, okay, but can I
by
finish?
Shetty.
So what? It's a replica.
Dr. Raman, can I finish?
This is a replica.
Can I
of
finish?
Sengol.
Dr. Raman, I'm
This
going
is
to
not
lower
from
your
the
fader
Quran
because
period.
you're not allowing me to speak. I mean, what kind of democracy is this? I mean, he says it's a stick, but viewers, by the very fact that it was part of an epical moment in our history, a defining moment, it becomes an object of history.
Rahul ji,
Is this gentleman completely denying the fact that it was part of a very significant ceremony where we...
You said it was from the Chola period.
I never said that, sir. I said, please, we are talking about the larger concept of a Sengol.
1947
1 second, please. No, listen, now let's not become pedantic for the sake of it. I want to bring in the BJP's spokesperson here, Guru Prasad Paswan. I want to ask you a very simple, straightforward question tonight. Is this an attempt through the backdrop of getting your Hindutva iconography right at an epical moment when we are going to gift ourselves a new parliament? And why should only the symbol of the Hindu tradition be presented? Why can't the symbols of other traditions also be placed next to the speaker's chair? Simple question to you, sir.
Rahulji, thank you so much, and a very warm good evening to you and all my fellow panelists I've been listening to for the last 35 minutes. Rahulji, there was a editorial published 9 years ago in a very important The Guardian newspaper. If you allow me some seconds, I'll just like to read about that editorial, what that editorial said. It said, and which is very relevant today, Rahulji, today on 18th May 2014, may well go down in history as a day when Britain finally left India. This is 2014 May. Narendra Modi's victory in the election marks the end of a long era in which structures of power did not differ greatly from those through which Britain ruled the subcontinent. India under the Congress party was in many ways a continuation of the British Raj by other means. This is what the Guardian newspaper had to say in 2014. For the first time in our history, we have our civilizational ethos as the topmost priority. And I was patiently listening to the Congress party spokesperson as well. But it is a historical fact. In 1966, when Sadhu Sant, they were leading a protest outside the parliament against Gau Hatya. Open firing was done. Indira Gandhi was the prime minister. Who is responsible for that? It was 2007. In Supreme Court, a petition was filed that was questioning the existence of Ram. राम के अस्तित्व पर प्रश्न चिन्ह खड़ा किया कांग्रेस पार्टी ने. So the Congress party has a long history. The Congress party has an illustrious history of playing with our civilizational ethos, of playing with our emotions. Who is answerable for that? When the Honorable Prime Minister says we are not only the world's largest democracy, but we are also the mother of democracy, the Lichvi Republic, from Vaishali, from where I am live today from Patna. And I am very thankful to you that we also recalled Rajendra Prasad ji, the first ever president of India, who went to Somnath and participated in the renovation ceremony of Somnath temple, regardless of the first prime minister's observation when he did not allow it. So that is the true character, that is the true color and the nature of the Congress party. And for the first time in the 75 years, when the PM is saying that it's Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, we are going to revisit. We are going to take inspiration from our civilizational ethos, and no force in the world.
I'm just asking you,
no
Dr. Paswan, does that civilizational ethos also include other religions that have thrived in this country?
We have 100%. Like I said, the preamble of the Constitution says, and the Honorable Prime Minister has also spoken about it. But the fact of the matter here is this: when the Congress party is making a huge hue and cry about the inauguration of the new Parliament House, we have seen what they have done since the last 2 days, when they are doing some symbolic protest with respect to the same president whose appointment they opposed. They are making a huge controversy which is unwarranted and ill-informed. This is something which is speaking of ourselves. A new parliament building, the Sengol, is a symbol of our arrival, that we have arrived.
Okay.
We can be assertive, we can be aspirational.
Well, viewers, we'll just have to watch that ceremony. We'll have to watch the ceremony to see how inclusive it is. But let me tell you, viewers, I'm going to quote out of a Time magazine article of August 25th, 1947. And this talks about the then Jawaharlal Nehru, who received this Sengol made by a jeweler. This stick, as Dr. Raman refers to it. Fair enough. Blessing with ashes. Even such an agnostic as Jawaharlal Nehru, on the eve of becoming India's first Prime Minister, fell into the religious spirit. From Tanjore in South India came two emissaries of the Sri Ambalavana Desigar, head of the Sannyasi order of Hindu ascetics. Sir Sri Ambalavana thought that Nehru, as first Indian head of a really Indian government, ought to, like ancient Hindu kings, receive the symbol of power and authority from Hindu holy men. At that time, viewers, Hindu iconography was welcomed by a so-called agnostic, secular Nehru. That was an acknowledgement, viewers, of our civilizational past. But suddenly, that same Nehru, maybe because of his agnosticism, I don't know, relegated that instrumentality, that symbol of a moment of profound significance, to a dusty showcase in a far-flung museum miles away from the Union capital, and called it a walking stick. Or at least somebody did. How, why, viewers? I leave you to ponder that. But I want to move on to another story, viewers, which is unfortunately going to cast an even bigger shadow on the inauguration of Parliament.